Welcome to another Wellness Wednesdays with the Morflag by GSK. Today I've got here with me the director of the British Argentinian Chamber of Commerce, Susana Ecclestone. Susana, welcome.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here today.
It is wonderful to have you here, and thank you for taking the time to join us and chat. So if I may start, so your background was actually handbag design, and then you went into blogging, and now you are actually helping companies to establish their businesses and with relations between the countries of Great Britain and Argentina. And so tell us a bit about what adaptations you had to make and what triggered these changes.
Well, I always say that life takes you in many directions, and becoming an immigrant and leaving your country forces you to, take, be in charge of your own, decisions and how you're going to, be in a new place, completely unknown, reinvent yourself. I always say that I've had a few lives, so every part of my life that I lived in a different country is a new life, because I had that life with different friends, different colleagues, and different sectors. So I started working in education in Argentina. I was a teacher and a professor for many years. Then I moved to the US and I worked in healthcare. And I worked in healthcare for 20 years in a very challenging, environment. Not as challenging as COVID, but really difficult. And then I moved to the UK in 2012. When I moved here, that is what you mentioned. I had started playing with designs and handbags back in the US, because I was involved in polo there, and at that time there was a very fluent economy in New York, and Americans are very focused on what they wear and the brands they wear, but I had never seen anything like what I wanted to bring to the country. So we started having small collections, very direct sales, no shops, one of a kind, and just for a special group of women. And at that time that worked really well. The economy changed very drastically. Importing the products was very costly, and then I moved here. So when I moved here, I created this blog that was designed to support emerging designers, particularly and primarily from Latin America at that point. But then it kind of expanded into the rest of European designers. I thought, well, if I could give a small platform to these designers, that would be something good. I really enjoyed it because obviously you can play with any designer in any country and any type of product. So that was really interesting. I kind of keep doing this on a different scale, but it's my interest to highlight the things that I like.
Yes.
Sustainability is important. How these products come about. How the clients look at these products now. There's a lot of more conscious decisions into how people buy products. In the past you would just grab a handbag, say I like this handbag and I don't care, where it's made, and you just go with it. Now it's different. People really think about these things, and this opportunity at the Chamber of Commerce came about, and it's like my dream job. It's a dream job because you can basically meet different people every day.
Yes.
You have lots of coffees, you have lots of parties, but at the end of the day, it's just about meeting people, connecting people, seeing what people need, companies need. Sometimes it could be a very small thing, small introduction. Sometimes it could be something like a bigger project.
Yes.
But in general, I always say it goes down to the people level. You need to make that connection for this company to move forward. So that is my small contribution to that, and how I look at what I do.
Super interesting. My goodness, you've had really definitely more than one life.
Well, I guess, yeah, probably.
So really your bread and butter in order to be able to do your job, and not from a financial point of view, but from a practical point of view, to achieve the goals of your function, is to meet people, to interact with people, to network and to build connections.
Yes.
How have you been able to cope during the pandemic doing that?
I think COVID has been very kind to us, to the chamber and to myself in a way. Tough as it was, being locked in was not fun at all. But what you're saying is absolutely true. I mean, our network has really grown a lot. So we have reached audiences and companies that we would have never even got in touch with before.
Okay.
But at the same time, companies were more flexible, were listening more, and were looking out a lot more. So for us, it's been really good. I am a very serious LinkedIn user, and I think it has been a very advantageous period for LinkedIn users. If you know how to use LinkedIn and you dedicate at least 2 hours a day, you can make very interesting connections.
Yes.
90% of my connections and leads come from LinkedIn. And I'm now starting to meet these people in person, which is really exciting.
Oh, how wonderful is that?
Well, what do you think? I mean,
Yes.
you have been talking to these people for a year, like, you know, in Zoom and events and cyber events, and now you just, you know, come, you know, and meet them for coffee. So
Yes.
it's great.
Yes.
I think it's been interesting. It's
Yes.
been a mixed bag, but it's been interesting. Hopefully we will never experience something like that again. But from the business point of view, it's been very sad because a lot of companies disappeared, a lot of companies really, really struggled. I think that many of them are recovering really well. But again, I think it has to go down to, it goes down to the people.
So now going forward, yes, things are opening up again,
Yes.
right? We can have social events, which is wonderful. How are you politically correct in your saying hello to people you meet, whereby we never know, right? Some people are happy to hug and shake hands, and some people like to do the unattractive elbow thing.
You
What
mean
is going on?
post-COVID?
Yes, in post-COVID. So how do you handle that? And you know, some people come with masks, and it's very difficult to understand people wearing a mask.
That is very challenging.
And you can't see the expression on people's faces when they wear a mask. I find that very challenging because you can read where the conversation is going, right? When you do business, you can read where the conversation is going by looking at the expressions of one's face.
Yeah.
So how do you handle this?
Well,
whole
there's a few
challenge?
things that you mentioned. Being Latin American is very difficult for me because obviously we do kiss and hug quite, you know, a lot. And there has been some resistance, you know, in the Latin American community to just stop doing that because it's part of who we are. But it depends. It's very personal. Some people are more comfortable just shaking hands and all that. It's that kind of mini assessment that you do, like when you meet someone or you're in front of someone. For me, the masks are horrible. I just absolutely detest them. They are necessary, but it has so many minuses. You know, the personal smile. I mean, the confidence, or you know, it had so many things. I spoke to a psychologist a few months ago, and he said, Susana, it's very difficult with children because children recognize a smile, and if they don't grow up with that, they will have a harder time recognizing a smile later on, which I thought was really, really sad. But for me, it is very important to be friendly and to smile, and the mask does not help. If you add accents to that, it's another problem. Because
true.
And in business that is difficult. You know, everybody has an accent, even if it is a British accent. Everybody speaks with an accent, and if you add a mask to that, it's a big problem. So you need to be very careful how you ask someone to repeat himself, how to, perhaps you didn't understand a very important concept that he was saying, because obviously between the mask and the accent and, you know, the noise, background noise that you might have. So I think that requires a lot of attention on the part of the listener. You need to be, you know, just it's fun to be having fun, but we are working. I mean, this is work.
Yes.
And you don't want to offend anyone, and you don't really want to take it, take anything wrongly. But there's a few elements that are really interesting and that are changing the way people are networking. Now, I don't do the elbow thing really. I think I
it would be a
more
bit
used
odd
to
in your
just
circle.
not hugging and being more at a distance.
Yes.
But to be honest with you, I just kind of wait. I just go back to normal. I normally approach people, very directly because my way of doing things is very direct, and I have been very lucky. I really never encountered people who are really, hostile to that. But you may do some grumpy ones perhaps some point. But in general, people have always been really interested in meeting you, or and this networking online.
Yes.
Has trained a lot of people to do it really, really well.
Yes.
If you think about it, you are meeting complete strangers on a screen. Meeting them in person is always easier. I mean,
So
like
much
meeting
easier,
someone on
yes.
the screen. I mean, and you have no idea who this person is. What they do, and you have 3-4 minutes to do it. I mean, it's good training. So I think everybody's really happy to go back to in-person events. I mean, it's something that they look forward to. But I always say it's an exercise. It's like riding a bike. You need to keep doing it. It's not always easy. You may find people that are very difficult to talk to. But it's like any other skill. It requires practice.
Yes.
But in the end, it's a great experience. It's always good.
Anyway, Susana, it was a delight to have you here today.
Oh,
Thank you so much for taking your time in your busy schedule to chat with me about
No, thank you for
networking.
thinking of me for this. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and it's always better when you have gorgeous bags, next to you. So that's my pleasure.
Thank you. All the
Excellent.
best.
Thank you.